And with this idea, we applied to Antler, and we're lucky enough to get accepted very quickly, because it was actually the last week of the application until the application deadline.
Nice.
The whole program was starting the next week, and that's a whole different story because we are not from the European Union. We had to apply for a visa really quickly.
So hello, everybody, and welcome to the Startup Founders podcast in the Inside the Product channel. In this podcast, I interview startup founders to understand better how they have been going through this journey that is of understanding that there is a problem out there, how they can create a product to solve that problem. And actually not just the product, but actually try to build it into a business, which is kind of an interesting journey on itself. And today here I have with me Yaroslav Yaro from Not8. And hey, welcome. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hey, Juan. Yeah, thanks a lot for inviting me. Indeed, my name is Yaro. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Not8. So Not8 is a startup that has been founded in 2022. We went through the acceleration program at Antler, and yeah, here we are. Just at the very beginning of our journey. Happy to tell you what I know and like what I'm worrying about maybe right now as a startup founder. Tell you a little bit about my mistakes, about my learnings. So yeah, once again, thanks for inviting me.
Also, it's great to have you here. And unfortunately, Vlad, your co-founder, couldn't join us today because he got sick.
Yeah, unfortunately, just last minute cancellation. He told me he couldn't make it. But yeah, no worries, guys. I can.
Who knows? Maybe we'll have a rerun at some point.
Yeah, sorry, come again.
That maybe we have a rerun at some point.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. But hey, maybe tell us a little bit more about Not8. What would be like your pitch in a couple of minutes of what is Not8 and why people should care about it?
Absolutely. So I like to start with the problem, actually. So, well, any IT product, if it's a website or like application, it's developed in 3 stages. So the first stage is prototyping, second stage is software development, and the final stage is product review. And product review is something that happens throughout the whole lifetime of the product. So until it is closed down officially, the whole team will be reviewing it. Like some teams would do it very regularly, some teams would do it once in a few months. But the thing is that it is something that any company that has IT product is going through. And unfortunately, I would say that this process sometimes is inefficient or is broken. So for another stage like prototyping, there are tools like Figma, which have already become some sort of a standard. So people, like when you ask them, so where do you do your prototypes? They typically say, oh yeah, I have them in Figma. But when you ask people, so where do you do your product review? Everyone does it in their own way. So let's take the simplest example. So you're creating a website, right? And you want to make sure that the whole team is aligned on how it should look like. So how would you make sure that it is the case? So probably you would hop on a group call, and then each of you would throw in suggestions and say, hey, we need to move this button to the right, or maybe let's change this image, or actually, I think we need to add this section. The drawback of this approach is that every team member needs to spend time on that, right? So it is not an asynchronous way to do things, and asynchronous work is becoming more and more popular nowadays. This is a new trend, and this is what we are trying to bring into this product review stage, basically, right? There are tools like Loom, right, where you can record your video and say, okay, so a certain dynamic part of a website is not working, and then send it to your colleague. But then you cannot really communicate like inside a Loom. You need to have your communication in some other tool like Slack or Gmail, or you could describe everything in text, but then it takes a lot of time, and you probably need to attach a bunch of screenshots and mark it up.
Well, that sounds painfully familiar.
You get the gist, right? So a lot of different tools that people use for this pretty simple yet very necessary process. So our goal and our vision is to make this Swiss knife for product review. So basically, it's like one-stop shop for everything related to product review. Right? We will have video recording. We already have notes. We have like we work with text, with screenshots. So you don't need to go anywhere else. You can do everything right inside the product. And the core thing that we have right now is what we call sticky notes that you can attach to different elements on your website or inside your app. You can open conversation right inside of them, tag people in your team, attach screenshots, and do like everything I mentioned right now.
That's actually really nice, I have to say, because I have suffered the one of doing the long email with the screenshots. I even seen spreadsheets like in Excel or something like that. People
Right.
sending
It's also common.
screenshots since Excel don't work really well, and it's awful to try to go through a list of those ones. So,
Right.
so yeah, it's quite an interesting process that people have taken. So I think this is really interesting what you're trying to tackle and how you're trying to do it. So maybe tell us a little bit how did you come up with this idea? Did you suffer this problem yourself, or how did you find that this was a problem?
Too bad Vlad is not on this call, right? Because he would probably comment on this one, because it was actually his idea. So I need to give credit to him. This was completely his idea. So he is a front end developer. Well, he was a front end developer until he became the CTO of Not8. And he worked as a developer for more than 9 years, if I'm not mistaken. He told me that this is the problem that he personally faces. And as a developer, you are typically that person who implements all these comments, right? So you get comments from product manager, you get comments from QAs, from web designers. They all want something from you. And then like all the information is scattered around like all those different tools. And it was just driving him crazy. Obviously, there is a tool like Jira or ClickUp where you can have tickets and collect everything there. But we know that very often that is not the case. First of all, people are maybe not disciplined enough to keep the track of everything there. Yeah, and that's how we basically started brainstorming on how to tackle this problem. And so we started thinking, why people even leave the product that they review? It would be amazing to have all the conversations right inside the product, right? So it's like, take Google Docs, right? For example, like if you want to review a certain page of text, you can leave comments right inside the text. So people go there and they know exactly where to see all the comments. They can resolve them. They can change the text on the go. But for some reason, it is not possible to do this way inside the website or like any application. So, hey, why don't we create that? That was the idea. We started, thinking about it more and more and more. And yeah, at some point we decided, okay, let's do it. And with this idea, we'll later apply to Antler, and the rest of the history.
Nice. So can you tell us a little bit maybe about those first steps? How did you take that step of starting the company? How did you move from maybe just working a little bit on the side, like being the side hustle, to okay, yeah, let's jump?
Okay, so I'll start from saying that this is not my first attempt of building business. Same nice. For Vlad. So we had multiple attempts before. Me being not technical, before I met Vlad, like all of my attempts were, I say, service-based businesses. So, for example, my very first idea was a school of English classes. It did not require any IT skills. I just created a website, very simple website myself, using some, a website builder like Wix, or there are a bunch of similar tools. And I just found teachers. I was teacher myself. Then I hired a few others, and that's it. That was a very basic idea. It worked for some time, but because it was an offline business, when COVID hit, I had to shut everything down because I was paying the rent for the place, right? But all of a sudden, I lost all the revenue because students stopped coming. And and I just couldn't sustain it because I was still a student at that time, so I didn't have any savings even to cover well, this all these losses when I was in the red after the COVID, and I had to shut down the idea. It was a little bit a painful decision, but I learned a lot from it. So yeah, there were a bunch of other ideas. Don't want to go through each of them, but in summer 2021, which is 1.5 years ago, I finally decided that I probably need a technical co-founder because I want to build something scalable. Um, Also realized that just from the experience of trying to build something where you depend not only on the software per se, but you depend a lot on the people, on how they perform. Like a person can get sick, and there you need to replace this person. So I thought that it would be way easier to deal with the software, with the machine, right? So it never turns you down, which is not actually true, because sometimes well, the machine is always right, but there can be some bugs, right, that you didn't notice, and then there are still enough problems with the software. But for some reason, I decided, yeah, I want to build a software-based business. It's more scalable. It has a bigger potential to grow. So I need a technical co-founder, and I started to look for a technical co-founder online. I quickly found out that there's the platform Y Combinator co-founder matching platform. They just launched a couple of days earlier, so I was lucky enough to be one of the first users, and Vlad was there as well. He was also one of the first people who signed up on this platform. We matched, and he was not the first one I spoke with. I had to talk with 16 people, as I remember right now. I even had this scoring model, like different parameters, what matters to me the most in my future co-founder. And it just happened that with him we had the best match. And I'm very happy with how we have been working with him ever since. We met for the first time actually a year after we matched on this platform, because we were from different cities, and the first time we met was actually here in Amsterdam when we applied for this program at Antwerp. So
you met the first time when you went to apply.
yeah.
Wow.
So a year and a half ago, right, we matched. We decided to work on another idea that didn't work out. We were working on it part-time. Mainly that is the reason why it didn't work out, because it's a whole different story when you focus on something full-time. And we just decided to close it down and to take a break to think about a new idea. Then Vlad told me about this problem that he faced at his work. And with this idea, we applied to Antler, and we're lucky enough to get accepted very quickly, because it was actually the last week of the application until the application deadline.
Nice.
The whole program was starting the next week, and that's a whole different story. Because we are not from the European Union, we had to apply for a visa really quickly. So I started calling all the embassies that were in. At that point, I was in Limassol in Cyprus, so I started calling all the embassies in Cyprus, and try to see who could schedule. With whom I could schedule a call within the next 1 or 2 weeks, or an appointment actually, so I could hand in my passport and get a visa. So then I basically entered the European Union through Portugal, and then from Portugal I went to Amsterdam to participate in the program. And already in Amsterdam I applied for a startup visa, and here I am.
Wow, so that was quite a story, or
Yeah,
quite the journey.
Quite the journey. Was not that easy, even to get to Antler, right? And let aside actually becoming one of the 3 teams who got funded, because there were 57 people in our cohort, and only 3 teams, 7 people, got the investment.
Nice. So, congratulations, definitely.
Thank you.
That's awesome. So, I mean, the fact of starting a startup, I think that's an adventure in itself. But the fact that in the middle of that, you still had to move, find the visa, be able to move to a new place, that kind of complicates things ever so slightly.
Absolutely. And I also had I had some issues with opening a bank account. It took me some time, like getting residence permits, like all these things that are not necessarily related to building a business. They distract you a lot. They take a lot of time, but you still need to deal with them, because Otherwise, you just cannot move forward. And
Yeah.
so, just to give you an example, like we already knew that we were going to receive the money from our investor at the beginning of September, but we actually received the money at the end of November. So almost 3 months we've been waiting
Wow,
for it. So it's quite a lot. It's
that's
not a very
tough.
typical story. Typically, it happens faster, but
Yeah, yeah. So, can I ask one question
yeah.
related to your investor? How did you pitch maybe the startup to them? Did you already have some prototypes? Did you actually have a product, or it was just a pitch an idea and they bought it?
Yeah. So one thing I need to mention that it is not a typical VC. I mean, Antler is a VC, and they do invest as a regular VC. So when you just reach out to them, and they decide whether to give you money or not. But we participated in their acceleration program, which is a little bit different, right? So they accept a bunch of people, and they go through a 10-week program. The first 2 weeks is mainly networking, when solo founders find their co-founders. If you're a team, you're a bit more lucky, because you don't need to look for another founder. But maybe you need a third co-founder, and that's in that sense you also need to network. Then starting from the third week, you start pitching. And every Friday you have your pitch session, when you tell everyone about your progress for the last week. So the ones who show the best progress, they basically receive the investment. So there's investment committee at the end of all this, and the decision is made by Antler team. They have four decision makers here in Amsterdam. Don't know about other offices, and they vote. As I understand, there needs to be at least 3 out of 4 votes for investing in you in order to get the money. So yeah, we were lucky
Great.
enough to pass this test.
I'm pretty sure that there was not just luck involved there. Probably a lot of hard work
Well, yeah,
as well.
of course, we did grind quite intensely, especially during those 10 weeks, and afterwards
Yeah.
as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
So maybe now that you told about a little bit the beginning, where do you see then your startup going on in the future? Where do you see that Note8 is going to be?
Well, obviously, as any founder, I have very ambitious vision of where Net8 is going to be. Time will show if it's true or not, but our goal is to make a tool that is going to be a standard for this whole stage that I told you in the very beginning, right? For product review, like Figma is a standard for prototyping. We want to be the standard for product review, and we know that there are some competitors who are close to that, but they are not exactly focusing on product review per se. So for example, there's like markup.io,
Yep.
a tool that has more than 300,000 users. They focus mainly on bug tracking, which is only like a part of it. Uh, while there's also a tool that you probably know, it's called Miro, which is a collaborative whiteboard. Now, one of their use cases could be reviewing the product, but the main drawback about them is that you need to make a screenshot of the thing that you review, upload it there, and only start reviewing it inside this whiteboard. So there's still a lot of unnecessary actions are involved. So yeah,
Yep.
as I
Yeah.
told you, we want to remove all the friction and have all the conversation inside the website that you are working on, or the application that you are working on.
Yeah. And I think that tools like Miro are great, but they're more general in their scope.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think that, especially for a startup, it's much better to concentrate on solving one problem and solving it really well than
Yeah.
is trying to compete for a very general tools. Is gonna be really hard because there's pretty good solutions
Yeah,
out
but
there.
I'm pretty sure that Miro and other tools like Figma, any other
Yeah.
big names, they actually started from a very narrow niche, and then
Yes.
they expanded from
Yeah.
there. So that's basically the plan that we're going to have. So right
Yeah.
now we are mainly going to target web agencies, because our current version of the product does not support mobile applications. It works only in the web, and if it works in the web, then it works for websites. And the companies that work with websites the most and that review websites the most are the ones who create them for other people. So those are web agencies. So basically, this is what we are starting from. And we already have a few companies that are interested in working with us as early adopters. So we are on our way.
Nice. So you have defined quite well your target personas there.
Yeah. Well, that's
Nice.
also something that Antler helped us a lot with.
Yes, that's really key in the beginning, that to understand who you are tackling and not just try to address everybody out there. So maybe a little bit that you talk about Blood and both of you being co-founders and how you found each other, but maybe how do you work with each other? I think that that's probably one of the most uh, like key success factors for a startup, to have a successful team. So how do you work with him, and what do you think that are your strengths there?
I totally agree that team is key, especially at the earliest stages, and even early stage VCs. They typically say we uh, like first thing that we're looking for is actually team, not even idea, because idea can change a lot. You can pivot, but if you have the right team, uh, you'll always pull through, right? So. Yeah. So regarding how we work with Vlad, you mean like how we work like offline or online, or what, can you elaborate on the question?
Well, you can talk a little bit. What are your responsibilities, and how
Okay.
do you make sure that you align and that you work together? That Yeah.
Yeah, I understand. Okay, so in our case, responsibilities, the well, I mean, the division of responsibilities is very clear, and that is mainly because our skill set is absolutely different, but it's complementary. So that's what I really like about our team, is because I have pretty strong business background. I was McKinsey consultant in the past, and he is this technical guy with a very strong background in not only front end development but actually back end as well. Just mainly because of the projects that he did by himself. He also knows how to like make a mobile app if needed. So pretty much like he is a full stack engineer. And yeah, so everything related to technical things, everything related to software development and product development is on him. What I do and how I interfere in that, it's only like in well, when I take a role of a product manager per se, right? So how I help him is I'm running customer development interviews. I speak to users constantly, and I try to understand what feature we need to prioritize, and we just talk about it, and then he executes on that. But the rest of the things that are not related to the product, that are related mainly to growth and fundraising, and also some admin stuff like I don't know, doing the bookkeeping and etc. It's on me, right? So I'm talking to investors. We're creating pitch decks, doing all the financial models. So it was pretty natural that we are going to work this way from the day one. In terms of the format of work, we well, until we met here in Amsterdam, we worked remotely, and this format works pretty well for us. So right now, at this moment, he is not at Amsterdam. He's coming back in just 2 weeks. So yeah, I don't see much difference when we're working in person or when we're working online. So in that sense, yeah, we're pretty agnostic, like formats agnostic. I would put it this way.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you talk about the users, and that you are the one that is talking mostly with the users. Can you talk a little bit more like what is that relationship with the users? If I understand correctly, you are not yet publicly out with the product, so you're more like in alphas or beta testings or MVPs that you're testing with your potential customers.
Well, I would disagree a little bit that we're
Okay.
not like publicly available. Our MVP is publicly available. You can
Okay.
download it from Chrome Web Store. It's Not8 Not8. You can find it pretty easily.
I'll put
The
the
thing
link in
is
the
that
description.
MVP itself is not the end product. Well, that's correct, right? So it's still under development. But there's a very thin line between MVP and product. So after what feature do you understand that, okay, now that was yesterday it was MVP, but today it's already a product? So it's kind of, I guess product is just a more mature version of an MVP. So I explained to myself that probably when we will have integrations with most common task managers like Jira or ClickUp, then we will consider ourselves a product. Also, we probably need to add a back office and add a video recording feature. So these three things are the ones that will turn our MVP into the product, at least in my understanding. But yeah, you can already download Not8 as it is from Chrome Web Store right now, and we are pretty open about sharing our latest updates with our users, even though I understand that the product, because we're still pretty early, sometimes may not work as ideally as we want to work. But I think it's still better to receive comment from a real user, even if it's a negative comment, than developing something for a whole year, and after all just understanding that actually nobody even needed it. So I'm putting a lot of emphasis in talking to users. I think it's very key, it's very crucial, and I do it pretty much on a weekly basis. So
Yeah.
it's just an ongoing thing. It's not that like we did customer development in the very beginning and then we stopped for half a year.
Yeah. Yeah, but that makes a lot of sense. I love that approach. Like, for example, what Eric Rice talks about in this lean startup with the
Yeah.
build, measure, learn. I think that's probably one of the most interesting approaches of iterating all the time and improving all the time. And I agree with you. It's like, well, when are products ready? Are products ready ever? Probably not. I mean, you always have some optimization or something that you had to improve, no matter if you have been many years out in the market.
Yeah.
So there's always room to do that. So when you're
Even the
working,
biggest players out there, every now and then I'm using. Okay, I don't want to say any names, but like I'm using very large players, like very tools with like millions of people using them. I see that, okay, there's a bug here, there's a bug there.
yeah,
It's impossible to build a big, absolutely bugless product, right? So
yes, yeah, and then it also depends on how you use it. Then you're going to have needs that probably they are not fulfilling yet, and so on. So there's always room for that improvement or for
yeah,
that change.
correct.
So that's the never-ending story of product development and product management and product creation, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
So now that you talk about working with the customers, how that you are having regular meetings with them, how do you share them? Okay, you have a public available product, which, by the way, I will link in the description and in the pinned comment, so anybody can go and check it out. And as well, how do you share then like prototypes or, well, the MVP, of course, you have available, but do you have like things like A/B testing, or share prototypes, mockups with just specific parts of the audience that you would get more maybe the feedback?
You see, because our audience is not that big yet, it would be, I'll say, not very representative if we tested just on very small part of the users. So just now we have slightly less than 1,000 registered users on our platform, and basically what we do right now is we just roll out the newest version to all of them. Maybe well, that's the thing that you described right now is the right thing to do when we are at least at, I don't know, 10,000 users. But right now, we just roll out the updates in Chrome Web Store, and that's it, right? And then we see the
Yeah.
feedback. So everyone, well, even if you don't physically go to Chrome Web Store and click on updates, you receive updates automatically, right? So everyone sees what has changed.
Yeah, that makes sense, especially when you are in the early stages of the startup, that you don't have the time to potentially start uh, building those processes and being quite few in the company. so it's not that easy
Yeah,
to
but maybe
maybe
when we will expand our team a little bit, it
yeah
will be more feasible. Yeah, right now we need to be very careful with prioritization, and because we have very limited resources, one one business unit in the face of myself, and the other one is my co-founder, and yeah, we
yeah
we only have so many hours in a day, so yeah,
obviously
need to
yeah yeah
need
that
to be
makes
very
perfect
careful
sense.
what to do and what not to do.
Yeah, definitely. So how do you say if things go well? How do you see then your roles changing and maybe moving in the future?
Oh, that's an easy question, I think. So right now we are doing everything by ourselves. So no matter what it is, like starting from writing a code and ending with just physically going to people and actually asking them to, hey, you want to check out this new tool? I actually did it. So there was one day when I was walking around this co-working space here where we work. So I would approach random people who were just sitting and working there, and I asked them, "Hey, do you have five minutes? Can I, spare 5 minutes of your time?" And when they said, "Yeah, why not?" I just would explain them what we're doing and ask them to install the tool and maybe use it a little bit. And that's how I received feedback. So I think this is one of the things Paul Graham was referring to, like Paul Graham of YC was referring to when he said, "Do things that don't scale." So this is one of the best examples in my work of doing things that don't scale. Obviously, I would not go and speak like that to every user, but at
Yeah.
least I would get firsthand feedback from these people, and it's great. It really helps you understand your users better. So
Definitely, and that's one of the things. Like interviewing customers, definitely doesn't scale up well, like in person. It's like you would need tons of resources to be able to be interviewing a ton of customers. But it's
and to your question, right? So we want to transition from more manual activities to managing activities. So when we'll have a bigger team, it's not only going to be only about me actually doing something, but rather our team doing something. And I would need to make sure that everyone is utilized to the maximum capacity, basically, right? So there are no people sitting idly and doing nothing, so that we as a team work as a one machine and try to have the highest efficiency possible. So that's how I see my role changing. Same for Vlad. He will probably not write code himself in the future, but rather manage a team of developers who will try to uh, deliver these pieces of code at the end of the sprint as planned, right? So he'll be responsible for some KPIs that we'll set.
yeah. So when you think about them, your journey, how you have gotten here, uh, what are the things, like different resources that have helped you develop? I understand that your experience from previous startups or
Yeah,
businesses, working as a consultant. Is there anything else that you think that has helped you, like I don't know, books, vlogs,
yeah,
or things
yeah.
that would be inspiring for you?
Sure. I would say two resources. So first resource is YouTube, and particularly I would say Y Combinator's YouTube channel. I mean, this is gold, really. They
Yeah,
have so much useful information for founders or for future founders. You can find anything starting from how to sell and ending with how to deal with setbacks within your team, like when you are just starting out, on where you have already like a team of 1,000 plus people. So they have a lot of content. It is super useful, and I really, really recommend it. So second YouTube channel that I would also recommend is called Valuetainment, run by Patrick Bet David, American entrepreneur of Iranian descent. So he moved to the US when he was a kid, and he has an incredible journey. So, like, when he just relocated to the US, he didn't know English, right? He had to cope with a lot of stress because of that. He was not a good student by any means. He likes to say that he used to have 1.8 GPA, so that's super low. And he managed to become a super successful entrepreneur that now has, I think, like more than 200 million dollars net worth. Like super successful guy.
Mhm.
And in this YouTube channel, it changed by the way over the years. So I like his older videos when he shared some tips, like how to, like, top 10 things successful sales manager does, or like uh top 10 things like every entrepreneur needs to know.
Yeah.
Like I really like those videos because in those videos he shares wisdom that he managed to accrue throughout his lifetime. And yes, I really like his principles and work ethics. So yeah, this is uh, one of the best YouTube channels out there for me. So I still like to watch his videos, even though now he started posting more about U.S. politics, which is not that interesting for me at
Mhm.
this point. But his older videos are really nice.
Nice.
And the second resource is books, obviously. So from the documentary or autobiography ones, I would probably recommend a book called Will, written by Will Smith. Um, well, his story of life is really incredible. He is really incredible actor, despite like all the like controversies that may happen in his life. But he's really great actor. And his life journey is also very fascinating. So the the bottom line of the whole book, I would say, is that despite being actually not a very brave person, at least in the very beginning, he was quite afraid of a lot of things in his life. And he openly talks about it. He would continuously push through these barriers that he had in his head. And he would take on, some roles that that helped him become who he is right now. So it's really like incredible to see the transformation of a person from just a shy boy to, well, basically legend uh, of the movie industry in the world. I think a lot of people like all across the globe know about Will Smith. So yeah, that's more about like autobiographies. And finally, two books I also really like, but they are more like okay, they are more um how to put it, they're like manuals, right? So they're not maybe that interesting, and they don't have so many like interesting details as the story of life of Will Smith, but also have very useful content inside them. So one of them is Secrets of Sand Hill Road by Scott Cooper. This is a book written by a partner at Andreessen Horowitz, and basically he explains to startup founders how VCs think and what matters to them. So it is very important to understand, like, if you are on a path of building a VC-backed startup, because like just a small business, regular small business, is very different from a VC-backed business. You need to care about different things, different, growth is expected from you, and yeah, you just need to understand what you're signing up for. And this book is great in that sense. And the second book I would like to recommend is called Super Founders uh, by Ali Tamasib. I hope I pronounce his name correctly. So also a VC, and he analyzed more than 1,000 US based, and not only US based actually, unicorns, and tried to see if there are certain patterns that made these founders become founders of the unicorn startups, and if they are different from regular startups. Super interesting read. Highly recommend. And there are a lot of insights there that are not that evident. So, for example, one of the least evident things that I learned from this book is that actually you don't need to have experience in the field that you are disrupting. Sometimes it may even harm you. There's a like I need to say that for deep tech and biotech startups, it's not the case. You need to understand the industry very well. But if you're building, say, a SaaS business or like e-commerce business, you can actually be from a completely different industry, and that will enable you to look at the things that work in a certain way in this industry from a different angle and offer something new. So a lot of unicorn founders, actually I think more than 60%, never had experience in this industry, or had less than 1 year of experience in this industry that they disrupted.
Yeah, I agree completely. While I was a product director, when hiring product managers, for me, hiring people that have industry knowledge, it was a B2B business, is not critical. It's not the most important thing. It's more important that somebody understands how to be a proper product manager than having the knowledge of the industry, which sometimes can be good, but it can also be harmful. To be very deep into the industry, it might be difficult then to change the ways. So that I agree. As a couple of comments, I love the comment what you said about the Will Smith book, because I think that being consistent and being not just consistency but also trying to improve all the time, that's just key for anybody nowadays. It's like constant learning, constant adapting, understanding where you need to adapt. I think that's super important. And about the founders or the VCs book, I think it's also great because basically for you as a startup, I have worked in one startup, but in the end, the VC, it is another customer to a certain degree for you that you also have to understand, and understanding that point of view of what they need. Then
because fundraising is also well, it's very similar to sales process, right?
Yeah,
you need to sell the vision. You need to sell your product and tell people, hey, together we are going to build something really, really great. And
yep.
Just if you want to be part of this journey, hop in while you still can.
Exactly. Join us well before it's too late.
Yeah. Next time it's going to be like the valuation will be 5 times higher, so you need to do it like right now.
Right, that's a good point. So maybe one last question for you is like, this is something that I like to ask always while I was having interviews with people.
Yeah.
To learn and to understand it a little bit better, is that what is one thing that you have tried recently? Can be in the last 6 months, 1 year, and it can be anything. It doesn't have to be work related. And why do you like it?
Yeah.
Or don't like it, maybe.
Can I actually give you 2 things? I'll tell you one work related and one not related to work. So I actually like to try new things a lot. Like when I say new things, I mean everything. It can be food. It can be like traveling to some interesting places. But one of the recent things that I tried is actually inspired by one of the videos of that Patrick David from the Valuetainment channel. I tried to live a week of my life the same way he does. Like in one of his videos, he explains like basically what his daily routine looks like. And when I watched this video, I was amazed because like he literally wakes up I don't know if it's true, but that according to the video, he wakes up at around 4:30 to 5 a.m. in the morning, and then like he works until I don't know, like he didn't say at which time he stops working, but I assume just to have some sleep, and to be productive, you need to sleep at least like 6 hours. Maybe for me, I also tested that for me, maybe 6 hours is in the long run, it's still not enough. So 6:30 is the right amount of sleep that I need. That's also something I tested and I learned by iterating. Yeah, I tried to live a week like he did, and he basically said that he works around 80 hours per week. So in order to pull this off, I would wake up at 4:30 in the morning, then okay, have a quick breakfast. Well, sometimes I didn't really wake up at 4:30, maybe like 4:45, because I was it's pretty hard to wake up like on the third, fourth, and fifth day. um yeah, and in order to pull this off and to have 80-hour week, I think you also need to work on Saturday as well, because otherwise it's like it gets almost impossible. And then I figured that, yeah, I could do that. So I managed to pull this off. Worked for 80 hours, but then I also felt that at the end of the week, I was feeling down. I was feeling quite sad, maybe because I didn't have enough sleep, or I don't know, because general mood was quite low. So I realized that maybe 80 hours is not the right schedule for me. So I still try to work quite a lot. So maybe about 65 hours per week, but not 80. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if you're looking for a side hustle, you had to do a YouTube video about that. I live as this Patrick. I
Yeah, yeah,
didn't
yeah.
catch his surname for
For
1 week.
for 1 week, yeah. And this guy lives like this, like for the past so many years. I don't know. So that's crazy. I really have deep respect for him, just for this one thing, let alone other things that he did in his life.
Yeah.
And as I promised, the second thing will be not related to work. I tried snowboarding because
Oh, nice.
so I'm 26 now, but I've never tried snowboarding and skiing before. I mean, skiing when you like skiing downhill, right? Not
Yes.
just regular
Cross country.
walking type of skiing,
Yes.
right? So and the first time I tried it, it was a few months ago. So this was a very new experience for me. I like extreme things. I like to, you know, uh, to risk it. Not only in business, because you know entrepreneurship is a risky journey itself, but also in other things. Um, but this was one thing that I never got to try until now. I really liked it. It's not that that scary or something. It's not that risky. Um, but yeah, that was a great experience. I think I will try it maybe next winter as well.
I would recommend it. I started really late skiing downhill,
Yeah.
like when I was 32, but all the time, every time that I can, whenever I can during winter. Luckily, because it's Finland, there's a small ski resorts in this area, so I have like
Okay.
15 kilometers away.
All right, you're in
Really
Finland.
nice.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
I'm Finland. So it's snow and everything here.
All right, cool.
Awesome. That's really, really cool. So maybe one last thing is like where can people find you? Where can people maybe contact you if you want, and or if they want, and where they can find Not8? And I'll obviously put all these things in the
Sure,
description as well.
sure. So first of all, you can leave my email in the description. So it's Yaro, the first four letters of my name, Yaro, at and Not8, Not8 as a number .co. So that's my email address. You can always reach out to me. You can also find me on LinkedIn. So it's Yaroslav Medvedev, CEO of Not8. You probably will find me. And it's very easy to find Not8 as well, right? So if you Google it, most probably it will be on the first page. But our website is Not8.co, right? Not com, but co.
I'll put the link in the
Yeah,
description,
yeah,
so hopefully people don't get lost.
right.
Awesome. This
Awesome.
has been great. Thank you so much. Really, really appreciate having you here and spending some time here with me.
Yeah, likewise, Juan. Thanks a lot for inviting me and Vlad as well. Too bad he couldn't make it, but I'm sure he will listen to this podcast later. And yeah, and leave his thumbs up. Okay, no, but
Great.
really, Juan, thanks a lot. It's quite a new experience for me as well. We talked before recording the podcast. I told Juan that this is my second podcast, but the first one with a video. The first one was without a video. So, guys, please don't judge me too much. Hope you liked it, and I managed to share something useful with you.
I'm pretty sure that there's many useful bits in all the things that you have been sharing about your journey. That's always very important and very interesting to hear how easy or difficult it has been for different people and different founders to get where they are. And definitely, I wish you the best, both of you. Definitely wish that Not8 has a really bright future. Looking forward maybe some second round at some point. And then for anybody in the audience, if you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel, then you get the notifications for the next one. I'll see you in the next one. Have a good one.
Bye, guys.